All right. Dan Lennington, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Lots to cover with you, Dan. It's good to have you back, though.
Oh, yeah. Good to be here.
How are you? How are you, Dan?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yes. See, I'm of the kind of day, but I'm glad you're doing good. All right.
Well, I should say, when you were talking about early voting, I just want to point something out, and this is kind of lost on a lot of people. Remember when we had that last election last year, and Eric Toney and Michaels ran? Well, Eric Toney got 1.9 million votes. In this upcoming election, nobody's going to get anywhere near 1.9 million votes. There's going to be about 1.5 million votes cast total. So it's not about, has nothing to do with where the polls are or, how people are feeling or what the ads are looking like. All that matters is how many people actually end up going to the polls. And it's just a matter of mathematics that, if all of Eric Toney's voters, all of Michael's voters show up, it's going to be a complete blowout for conservative candidates.
Yeah. If you're a Republican,
people just need to
show up.
Realize that.
If you're a Republican who voted for a Republican in the 2022 midterm, show up and vote on April 4th.
There's plenty of votes out there. There's way more votes than are needed out there.
Agreed.
It's just a matter of voting.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is, but I don't know why so many people don't show up in spring. Maybe it is, a lot of it has to do with that nobody thinks about elections in spring. They think about elections in fall. Or it could have to do with the fact that, the Kelly campaign really doesn't have that many ads going on. Thank heavens there's some third party out there. But, people, tell your friends, because they might not even know there's an election that is taking place. And let them know that Dan Kelly needs to be elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So let's talk about a few things. One, we're going to get one of the things out of the way that is related to the court race. And then I want to talk about the lawsuits, if you don't mind. Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty's lawsuits. You're being accused at Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, not Dan Lennington per se, but Will is being accused of making campaign contributions to Dan Kelly to rig cases. That is the intimation of the Protasiewicz ads that are referencing your organization and that are attempting to attack Dan Kelly that way. This is the same old recusal story, but unless you can explain it to someone who asks about it, maybe you don't quite know what to say. And I don't want to see this influence an election because it's very close to defamation, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very silly. Dan Kelly back in 2011 was very briefly involved in a committee at Will, where he went to two meetings in September 2011 and August of 2012. And after that, he disassociated himself from Will and didn't have any other dealings with Will. And somehow that apparently is relevant to him deciding cases somehow in 2016 or 2017. If you listen to the debate today, you can hear Justice Kelly explain that in his private capacity, he has had clients and he's done things on behalf of clients, which is what lawyers do. And just because a lawyer has clients doesn't mean that disqualifies them from ever hearing any case in the future that has to do with that subject matter or that topic or that issue. So there's no issues that I'm aware of, and all I've seen is some vague allegations. I don't even think they named us in their ad, but it's pretty disconcerting that these allegations can be made when someone with a simple web browser and Google can Google Will's involvement in Supreme Court cases.
Dan, nobody's going to Google it. That's the problem. You actually said if everybody who voted for Eric Toney or Tim Michaels or Ron Johnson shows up on April 4th, then, it's going to be an explosive turnout on behalf of Dan Kelly. But here's the problem. People react to campaign ads the way the people who make the campaign ads intend them to. That's why those ads are on the air. And even if those ads are as close to flat out bald-faced lying as you can get, nobody pulls them. No TV stations pull the ads. Radio stations don't pull the ads. They just cash the check. And that's my concern, is that you've got an election where one of the candidates is lying in ads. Another candidate's barely fighting back. And the candidate that's barely fighting back is the one that has to win, or everything we've worked for is gone.
Well, a lot rests on the voters' shoulders to inform themselves of what the truth is, and to get out and vote the way they want. You know, that what's really at stake for Wisconsin here is what type of judge and what type of justice are we going to have, and what type of court are we going to have. When we have people and justices that vote on certain topics based on their personal feelings or their policy, or how they hope that something turns out based on their values, that's really no different than a legislature. We have the separation of powers, and the judges are supposed to do one thing, and the legislators are supposed to do another. But when we sort of combine these powers and we have decisions being made just on personal preferences and values, it really is dangerous in how we order our liberty here in this state. Yeah. And it's up to the voters with what type of court they would like to have.
It's up to the people who listen to this show. It's up to the people who read Wisconsin right now. It's up to the people who are with the parties or with the third parties or with the campaign to educate folks. Because again, negative ads are on the air because negative ads work. That's just the simple truth of it. Nobody would spend money for those ads if they didn't work. I want to talk about your lawsuits, if you don't mind. You just had Joe Biden veto yes, it was bipartisan, a bipartisan piece of legislation that would have prohibited my 401k investment management company from using their politics to guide my retirement investments. The ESG rule. He just vetoed that. There's no argument to do it. So you have a lawsuit, though, on this particular question. Does this lawsuit give us the release valve if you're successful?
Yes, if we win, this rule will go away. And this is a good indication of what it means to have a fair judge. And a good judge is in this type of case, so that Congress passes a law, and it says that when a 401k manager manages somebody's money, they're supposed to maximize the returns. They're supposed to act exclusively for the benefit of the person who owns the 401k. Now, Joe Biden has come along, and he's decided, well, I don't like that. I'd like this ESG rule that allows 401k managers to, invest your money for, environmental Green New Deal sort of stuff, or social justice causes. But that's not what the law says. And so if you get a judge, though, who looks at this and says, well, I kind of like environmental things. I kind of like Green New Deal stuff. I'm going to uphold this rule because I like the rule. That's not how judges judge. That's not how our system works. And so, we hope that the judiciary, when they look at this, they look and they see whether this is a lawful regulation or not. Not whether it's a law that we can all agree on. I mean, because Congress could pass a law. We could all agree we want to invest all of our 401ks in windmills and all sorts of things. But that's a decision for the people. That's a decision for the policymakers and the legislators, not for judges and not for the president. So I think that case in particular really illustrates the difference in the roles between, I think so, judges and presidents and the Congress.
It's what the left wants to take away, what Janet Protasiewicz in Wisconsin wants to take away, what the left nationally wants to take away, is our ability to say, hey, wait a minute, that's illegal. You can't do that. Joe Biden has a grant program that awards taxpayer money based on race. That's another lawsuit you guys have. That's illegal. That's racial discrimination. You can't do that. What the left wants to take away is our ability to say, wait a second, that's illegal. And if we are not the people who are the ones who pass the laws, and our representatives aren't the ones who pass the laws, who passes the laws? The most powerful people on the planet pass the laws and break the laws without even bothering to change the laws. Where does that leave me, little old me, and my vote in the future?
Right. There are rules. There are fundamental rules we're supposed to live by. We're supposed to live in a place where the government respects our freedom of speech, and we're given due process, and we have freedom of religion, and we have equality under the law. We're not supposed to be treated differently because of our race. And today we filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration because they set up a new agency. It's the newest federal agency called the Minority Business Development Agency, and it exists only to assist certain minorities. We have 3 clients, and the clients went to the website, and some of them emailed this agency and said, hey, I would like some help with my business. And the response back from the Biden administration was, we don't help white people. I'm sorry. That's just not what we're set up to do. That is unconstitutional. We don't have a system in America where the government gets to create an agency devoted to only helping some races. And it's not just white people. It's people from North Africa and the Middle East are also excluded from getting any assistance. So if your mom and dad are from Iraq or Iran, you're up a creek too. You can't get help from the Minority Business Development Agency because they say you're not minority enough.
It's illegal.
We have a system in our government which has been bought and paid for with the blood of patriots that says that we get equality under the law, we get freedom of speech, we get a Second Amendment, we get due process, we get separation of powers. We don't have judges that make laws. I mean, this is what we've been fighting for in this country since 1776, and apparently some people maybe they'll miss it when it's gone. But right now we need to fight for what we've got.
We have to fight for just what we still have. We have to fight for the ability to say, hey, that's illegal. You can't do it. And then I can call a lawyer and we can take that case to court. They want to erase our ability to even have that as a check on them. They want to lord over us and rule us as a tyranny. And they want to do it with judges. It's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. Dan Lennington, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you, Vicki.
Good to have you.